Hello, my name is Jennifer. Welcome back to my channel. I'm talking a little low because my daughter's still sleeping. We went on a California trip and we just got back a few days ago and she's still sleeping until like 9 or 10. And I've been sleeping pretty good, still catching up on stuff, still doing chores and stuff. So it's April and I haven't done my March wrap up and I haven't done my TBR. The first book I read in March was Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, and this was a 5 out of 5 for me. This is such a great thriller. My first Riley Sager book I've ever read. I guess he gets better because I heard like the ones before this were kind of just like iffy. Then there's this and there's like Home Before Dark that's like supposed to be really, really good as well. And this one was just so much fun. It was such a fun read. There's a lot of things you can see coming and everything, but it didn't take away from the story, and it just made it really fun. It's this lady who, or girl, what is she, in her 20s? It becomes an apartment sitter, but at this like really rich Hollywood type building, apartments, and she starts apartment sitting for this one apartment until they figure out what's going on, but they pay her to stay there. And then there's just sketchy stuff that goes down in that hotel, and she has a history, a past with people, with her sister, just like family history that I wouldn't want to ruin because I feel like it's part of the story as well. Kind of get to know her, and then there's crazy shit that goes down in this place, and I wouldn't want to ruin it any more than that, but it's really cool. I suggest reading it if you're into thrillers. This is a really fast, easy read, so I definitely read it. I don't know if that one was my favorite out of all the ones I read. It might have been. I'm trying to think. Yeah, this one was probably my favorite out of all the books that I read this month. It was a 5 out of 5. I think that was the only 5 out of 5 I gave. And then I'm looking at my Kindle on the Goodreads to see. And then the next one I read was What Lies Between Us by John Mars. And this one was okay. I've read John Mars before I read The Passengers. And I was like, this one was on Kindle Unlimited, and I'm like, let me read it. And let me tell you, there's a lot of like twists and turns that go on. And there's things that you could kind of see too. I think the more you read like any thriller or mystery or whatever, the more you can catch on. But there are some twists going on, and it was an interesting book. It's more of like a domestic book. There's not really much that goes on outside of like this one place that they're in, and it's just like these two people that you know what, I don't even want to say what it's about because I feel like in the first chapter it's kind of like, whoa, I didn't know that's how it was going to be, the relationship between these two people in this building. And let's just say one is locked upstairs, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. But I gave it was it a 3 or a 3.5? I can't tell on the Kindle Goodreads. It does things differently than on my phone, and I'm filming on my iPhone right now. Because there was no really surprise factor too much. I feel like it was missing something, but it was overall a really good fast read. I finished that really quick as well. Let's see, what was the next thing? The next thing I read was When We Believed in Mermaids, and I gave that one a 4 stars. This is about this girl, and it kind of goes back in history to now, and it keeps going back and forth, so in a way it could be like in a historical fiction because it goes back to when they're young girls and teenagers, and then it goes into when they're in their 40s, I think 30s or 40s, is like the now, and she kind of explains things about it goes back and forth between the main character and her sister's point of view as well. And then because like it's this whole story, the main theme I think is basically like her sister went missing, or they think she died, and in reality she didn't die, and you find that out really quick. It's no big deal. It's basically part of the story. So but it's crazy how she finds out, and then the story takes on from there, and it kind of reminds me of like a contemporary or like historical fiction, and it's because it follows, I don't know, there's relationships going on, there's family dynamic, there's, you know, the childhood, teenage years, and the adulthood, and I just think it was a really interesting story. I feel like if there was more of a surprise factor again, It was a beautiful story. I gave it 4 stars. But you know, it was just something to read. Wouldn't be necessarily something I suggest in a way. It's not one I'm going to be raving about or anything, but it still was a fun, nice read. I did tear up a little bit on certain parts. And then, was this the last one I read? How many was that? Yeah, because I read 4. It was almost 5 because I finished the book in California, but it was the beginning of April when I finished it. So this last one I read was Layla by Colleen Hoover. So I read Verity by Colleen Hoover, and she normally does like romance, I guess, but she did like Verity was like a thriller romance, and then this one is like a thriller paranormal type romance, and this was like really interesting read. I read this really quick because I really wanted to know what was going to happen. And what did I give this? A 4? I think, yeah, I gave it a 4 star because I feel like it would have been a 4.5 or a 5 if there was, again, like a really cool ending surprise factor. There was something missing, but it was overall really great read because it was just nothing that we've ever really read before, I think, like anybody, unless there's another book out like this. You know, it's a romance paranormal thriller. I don't want to ruin that either. I feel like all these books I'm like not telling you exactly what they're about, but basically it's a guy is the main voice in this, and he meets this girl at a wedding, and he plays in a band, and she is the sister of the lady who's getting married, and they have a connection, and then like crazy crap kind of happens from there, like weird things, and it kind of creeps you out a little bit, not necessarily the paranormal part, but just like the way this guy thinks, but then it all kind of makes sense at the end. But I highly recommend if you just want something weird out of this world, paranormal thriller romance. Now I'm reading this book, and on my Kindle. I've been mostly reading on my Kindle because I traveled, and this book that I started reading, for some reason, every time I open the book, it says I finished reading on Goodreads, and it makes no sense, and I keep having to go back in there, delete the dates and stuff. So I'm gonna try that again today and see if it happens again. Otherwise, I'm just gonna like say I'm not reading it on Goodreads and just add the dates in later, because it's so annoying seeing on my feed like finished reading, started reading, finished reading, started reading, entering a page in. So annoying. I like keeping track of what pages I'm on, even though it saves it, just because there are, who knows, my daughter can accidentally get in it if I leave this somewhere, or if, especially a physical book, she takes bookmarks out of my books all the time. So I'm surprised she's still sleeping. I don't hear her at all while I'm talking. But overall, it was a good month because basically I read 4.5 books because I finished one of them on like April 1st or something. And so, but 4 books this month, that was really good, especially with traveling. I mostly read them like within 3 days of each other. I would finish pretty quickly on like 2 or 3 of them. So, but yeah, let me know what you've read this month. This is probably a very short video, especially because Claire's not here to bug me. And sorry, you're not seeing her. She's in that room there. But yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know what you guys read or plan to read. And if you want to read any of these books. And thank you for watching.